Welcome back to the LCS Academy, powered by Verizon. I'm Mazel, joined by Joshi and Mad Magical once again for another wonderful halftime segment after a hectic and crazy game number one. We'll get to that in a little bit, all right? Because we're going to play another episode of Who's That Academy Player, one of my favorite little segments, because we get to deep dive on a little bit of our Academy players. I picked two players.
Right.
Two. See, two. I can hold up the number 2. Today that I have 6 facts for each. We're going to start off one at a time. I'm going to start saying the facts, at least, to start it off. And then at the end, you can guess who it is. If you get it wrong,
All right.
I'll judge you. I'll tell you who it is. If you get it right, then there you go. You got it right.
I'm still trying to figure out who the silhouette is. I feel like it's.
I want to say it's Wild Turtle. I think
I thought it
it's
was Gomsu.
It might be Gomsu. I think it's Wild Turtle, though. I think it's Wild Turtle.
Turtle's a narrower face than that.
Yeah, he might. But yeah, who knows? Anyways, we're
I'm
gonna get right to it.
A Ray. It's a Ray.
100
It's a Ray.
Thieves. So,
Hey, okay.
I'm guessing a Ray.
just right off the bat,
Right off the bat. I didn't get any clues. I'm just guessing a Ray.
It's wrong. It's wrong. You know.
No.
But anyways, we'll go ahead and start with the trivia facts after that 100 Thieves win, which we'll get to in just a moment. But here we go. Good friend and previous roommate of this player was a Katarina one-trick streamer. Believes that you can blind Jax or Fiora in the current meta.
All right, I know.
Started competitive on the team First Blood Crusade. Considered a 5-star prospect. Spent time coaching multiple roles in the LCS. If you guys don't get this one, I'm going to be very upset at you guys.
I'm waiting for you to
It's
finish.
pretty obvious,
And
yeah.
has boot camped in Europe and Korea both. Who could it possibly?
Wow.
Who could it possibly be?
I don't think it could be Tenacity.
You don't think
Or-
it could be?
or
Okay, well then
Busio.
your
Or
answer
Busio.
is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think. Not possible. Yeah.
Not
it's
possible. All right, Joshi, then
no.
come in with some logic. Who is it?
It's tenacity.
It is Tenacity.
We know it's
We
Tenacity.
already knew it was Tenacity.
The Jackson
We knew-
Fiora had to give it away, but it's your boy.
Yeah.
It is the top 400 Thieves
It's
Academy.
Milan.
Tenacity. It is also a little bit of interesting status from game number 1 from him.
Yeah, I was trying to remember who had lived with Cat Evolved, and I thought it was
It
Tenacity,
is
but
Cat
I wasn't
Evolved.
sure.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what I was like. Well, I was trying to think too. I'm like, I don't remember him playing Katarina, but like, well, at least like living with Cat Evolved, and like that's when Cat Evolved played Katarina, because he did move on when he played competitively for a short stint in TSM Academy, where he actually did kind of drop playing only Katarina. Really, I don't even think he touched it in Academy.
Would have been nice to see, but that is our first player. That is 100 Thieves Academy Tenacity. Now we move on to our second player. Are you guys ready for this? It was curveball.
Ray.
All right,
It's a Ray.
It's the same
It's a Ray.
player because it's the
a Ray.
same statue.
It's a Ray.
I'm gonna go ahead and give all the trivia before I tell you if you're wrong.
It's
or
a
right.
Ray.
So started competitive in 2019. All right.
Okay.
Any recollection there? Would actively reach out to coaches for VOD reviews and feedback while he was an amateur. Also, big fan of otters. That one's good.
Aw.
That one's good. I like that one. I approve. Won Hugh Invitational in 2021 with UST. Same team that just won Seal. Who could it possibly be? Played AM and collegiate at the same time. It's getting more and more suspicious here. We got a little bit of Scooby-Doo going on. And first team competitively was Don Frost. Who could it possibly be?
Am I right? I feel like I'm right.
It's a Ray.
Yeah.
It is.
I feel
it
like
is
that's all
a
like, wait
Ray.
a minute. I got
Why
it
did
right.
you know? Did it get leaked? Joey, did you leak it to Magical? It is Gold Guardians Academy ADC.
I literally just guessed the player.
Yep, sure you did. You liar. You came to my house and you saw my notes. I like the otter fact. That's just me.
I do like the otter fact too, but I legitimately just decided a Ray was gonna guess from both times, and it just coincidental that it ended up being right.
Well, hey guys, we got to get up and go because Champion Select is ready to go. Let's go ahead and kick it off for the last game of the day. Joshi Magical, take it away.
Thank
Bye,
you,
Winner.
Mazel. Let's see if we get quite as chaotic of a game as we did in the first one between these two. Who would have thought that we'd have a game where one team was hitting the Nexus after just one simple fight that went their way, got quadra-killed at that Nexus, and then the enemy team wins the game themselves. That was a wild ride of a first game, and going into a second game, sometimes that could be a tilter. Having a game that was so close to victory but barely gets snatched away.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Golden Guardians. I mean, unfortunately, they ended up losing that game, but their laning phases went well, and then their late game team fighting with Choose went well, right? They were just able to play around the package a lot better than most other teams, but unfortunately, a lot of things kind of didn't go their way, right? They lost their red buff quadrant of the map multiple times. They weren't really able to control their side lanes nearly as effectively, but I'd still say, for how close that game was, Golden Guardians had real winning chances, which is a lot more than I was expecting. And I also have to say, I got tweeted at over the course of last game from Golden Glue's mom, Julie Gilmer.
Oh, she's
Messi
awesome.
is learning, and it's true. 100 Thieves, we know that this team is still trying to refine a lot of the things that they're trying to do, and that game was very messy. Jimmy got a pentakill and a quadra-kill in the same game, and as the star, the most improved player coming in from the PCS, he's also one of my most improved, right? I mean, when he came in from Spring at the very beginning, I was like, why did they import this guy? Halfway through, we're starting to see a little bit of glimpses. Proving Grounds, he turns online, and now he might be our best mid laner in all of Academy.
Genuinely could say that as well. I think he's one of these top performing mid laners. We were excited for him at the beginning of spring, then he didn't really show up until about halfway through the season, and that's when we started getting excited again. We saw how he was at Proving Grounds, and we're seeing now how he is in the summer, but we gotta change our focus to the bot lane. Because look at how much focus came in from Golden Guardians towards that bottom lane. Even 100 Thieves taking away the Zeri and Callista, meaning that there's only so many options now. They grabbed Ezreal for BMFX because they know they're really having to dig deep.
Yeah, I mean, he's played this already so far in the split, but he hasn't played it since Busio has rejoined. And so, it is definitely an opportunity for them to try and attack it. BMFX's positioning has been okay so far from a lot of these team fights, right? He's inability to win the laning phase as hard as he would like to does mean that going into a lot of these team fights, he's not as strong. And I feel like if you are not on your game with the Ezreal, if you're not playing it like players like Yon, who are just in your face and looking to auto attack as much as possible, this Ezreal just does less damage than a lot of the other marksmen that he's typically been playing.
All right.
Let's go.
Ooh, I was about to say, what do you counter that Ezreal with? Tristana, and I'm curious to see if Chime goes for the Yuumi. That seems to be a pairing that we have gotten a little bit more often. The capability to chase down things a little bit more reliably with the prowling projectile that Namis throw out, plus the rocket jump to get you that distance closer to your opponents. I like this adaptation for Array, and I'm really curious to see if Chime really will all in on the supportive style, or if he's more on what he's been famous with, which is playing more engage.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very similar thing to what we saw from Cloud9 trying to attack Team Liquid yesterday, right? The Tristana coming through, you're able to kind of follow Ezreal even after the Arcane Shift, and you have a lot of damage to kind of blow him up early on. While you do have this big mid-game power spike, you can kind of skip it as long as you're able to go for these aggressive plays at the right time. And so, now Busio coming in with the Braum. I know Cubby's a big fan of this champion. It was the best thing he has ever played in terms of his ability to actually climb, but it's also really darn good into the Nautilus. Nautilus jumps in, and you just go, bump, I'm going to hit you back, and then you're going to get stunned. And so there's a lot of opportunity here for BMFX and Busio to try and turn this around, but it's still, we were saying how much 100 Thieves were relying on having the ability to make plays happen. Now it's Golden Guardian's turn to do the same.
Yeah, with the Wukong, Tristana, Nautilus combo, they have a lot of potential to dive into what is being brought forth by 100 Thieves at the moment. But the big thing to me isn't even this Ezreal Braum bot lane. While I was focusing on it because we saw a lot of attention from both sides initially, Will getting Graves. This is one of his best performing champions, one of those pocket picks that he's always relied on, and seeing him get it into Wukong, into Acadian's Wukong, is what I'm mostly looking at. I'm looking to see if Will's going to have that same kind of prowess, the early game domination that he's had earlier in this split, or is Acadian going to use that mastery of this champion, also his veterancy, to get an upper hand onto Will?
Yeah, it's definitely something that he is put a lot of time into, right? It's been his most played so far in this summer, and he was a big fan of the Gore Drinker, like Black Cleaver build, right? Being very tanky, able to serve as a frontline for the rest of the roster. But now 100 Thieves, by picking this Graves, you have a lot of decisions, right? Do you want it to be this frontline? Do you want it to be a damage threat for the rest of the team? And typically, we've been seeing Tenacity and Jimmy wanting to take some of the carry roles for themselves, but with all these bans coming through, Corki taken off the table means that Choose is kind of left with Victor as like the only thing he really had a lot of success on.
That's kind of what I was looking at as well, as that is going to be something that it can work. It's reliable. It's got scaling for the team, but it's not that proactivity that we were looking at for the entire composition that Golden Guardians have drafted for themselves at the moment. But Jimian denies that even going over to Choose. Takes Victor.
True, and now Choose, he's kind of had his champion pool really limited. He's still played the Viger, and that's it. Oh, he's played the Yone once or twice, right? So he's still looking for opportunities.
I don't think Yone does very well into Victor, does he?
It's fine, right? Like, there are much worse matchups I can think of for the Yone, but okay. Do it.
Do it. Oh, Choose does it. Casawin picked up into Victor.
Okay, so this is a big challenge, right? Suddenly, Golden Guardians, they have two great scaling assets in their team composition. They have the Tristana and the Cassin, who are both going to be scaling up very hard and can kind of override a lot of the mistakes that you will go through early on in the game, as long as you can get towards that level 16. And 100 Thieves, last game, it was messy, they ended up winning it, but it's one of those things where going up against a Cassin and Tristana, you get to that same point, 35 minutes into the game is a whole lot more difficult, and they have plenty of tools to bridge them to that point, right? Wukong, Mundo, and Nautilus all have their spikes a lot earlier to create space for 100 Thieves. And
I like this from Golden Guardians. Far more proactive, as you were calling out earlier on. The Mundo to be a big, beefy front line for the team with Chime onto Nautilus to help engage. It will face off against Aatrox in the top lane, which, if I recall, is not the easiest matchup for a Mundo to play into.
It's definitely not the easiest thing, right? Because every single one of Aatrox's Qs can rip off that passive that Mundo relies upon so heavily, and there's actually, it's kind of like the only way for 100 Thieves to really get rid of the passive coming in from Mundo is going to be relying on Aatrox Qs throughout most of it, because you know, Mundo's not going to try and stand in the gravity field. But I feel like 100 Thieves, they have this really big spike around the 1 to 2 item mark when Victor's online, when Israel's online, where they really want to try and push the tempo of the game. But Golden Guardians get to do first in the bottom lane with Tristana, and later on when Cassin hits level 11.
I think there's a trade bug because I wasn't seeing champions being... Yep, there it is. I figured that was happening because I didn't see any trades happening, so I figured it was one of our trade bugs. As I was about to say, wait, is Bucia really about to play Ezreal and BMFX on Braum? And then I realized, I'm like, okay, no, it's not going to happen. But... let's talk about, like, the identities of both teams. We've kind of really hit on the fact that, you know, some of these lanes favor the side of 100 Thieves. Like, looking at the top lane, we already kind of touched on that, but I kind of want to even touch on this mid lane. We haven't seen a lot of Kassadin, but this is a champion that a lot of people were praising after the durability patch, because he now has an easier time to survive this lane, but it is still against something that can poke him out ridiculously well, like Victor.
Yeah, and this is a matchup where, as the Victor, you have to be really, really aggressive to keep the Cassin down, because even as soon as Cassin hits level 6 and kind of becomes a champion, suddenly you have these opportunities to just jump in, and it's going to be very telling what keystone it is that Choose goes for, right? If you want to survive the lane and guarantee a more modest wake up at level 6, you can go with the Fleet Footwork. If you want to be very aggressive, the Electrocute will mean that as soon as you hit level 6, Victor has to start being a little bit more careful. There's the Conqueror if you want to go for
I was about to say Conqueror, I thought it was...
He's got choices, right? He's got a lot of different things he can do in order to actually jump into the gameplay. And Choose, we've criticized him for not having a whole lot of impact in a lot of their games, but last game, he did a really good job with the package. He was constantly on the ball, using it for the right team fights, and that's something that a lot of other teams haven't been able to recreate.
It's also now his time to kind of work as that assassin against Jimian. Jimian on Victor, good scaling, don't get me wrong, but Kassadin, once you hit level 16, it's kind of like the KO clock down, right? You're counting up the numbers until you get level 16, when you pretty much have that Rift Walk, like half a second cooldown, you're just constantly going,
slow.
pew, 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 pew,
Yeah. it's so difficult for everybody else to deal with, and it allows you to chase people down all over the place. So it will create a lot of questions for the 100 Thieves roster to try and deal with. And I'm excited about this Golden Guardians draft. I'm way more excited about this game too in terms of how close I'm kind of expecting it to be based on what we saw in game 1. And I feel like 100 Thieves, they just need to calm down a little bit, right? Like, they were going for a lot of these different plays. Tenacity, it wasn't his best game. And if you can make sure that you're only taking good trades, you're guaranteed going to win. But I think it's another situation where, just like Team Liquid, you'd rather have a ballsy 3-2 than a very clean and boring 3-0.
I suppose that's the case for 100 Thieves, because last game was anything but cozy, right? It was a very fun, interactive game where literally they were only, I think, about 3-4 hits away from losing the game. We were able to get the quadra kill after already having a pentakill for Jimmy on Akali. But this time around, I actually got to give more favorability to the side of Golden Guardians. And if they can play like they did in the last game, I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being a 1-1 series.
Yeah, I mean, Acadian, I feel like, is a bit of a standout last game for me, just in terms of his ability to actually stop a lot of engagements from Will. But as we get ready for the Rift, Golden Guardians trying to find another win.
Well, it will be our last time heading to the Rift for Day 2 in Week 3. Golden Guardians Academy look to find their second victory of the season against 100 Thieves Academy after barely losing out in the last game. But 100 Thieves, they are ready to battle.
100 Thieves running right onto the Rift. Tenacity and Concept. No honor among Thieves. Turns out just going right for conflict. We're not seeing the same kind of camaraderie like we saw from Bradley and Soul earlier. But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And 100 Thieves, again, wake up 1-2 items. Whereas Golden Guardians, they just want to jump on you right away.
Yeah. Try to get that advantage, especially in the spot lane. Well, Concept on Mundo, it's going to be a difficult matchup into Aatrox. Mid lane, Choose versus Jimmy. Again, another difficult matchup to cast in early on into Victor. But the bot lane is where I expect the most volatility for the side of Golden Guardians to really look for that early play. Or they could possibly just find out that Tenacity was trying to get a ward on the blue bush and get a nice flash out of him.
That's actually really big for Acadian Concept, right? Not only are they going to reward themselves with this red buff, while Will takes away the bottom side, Tenacity, now without Flash, this matchup becomes quite a bit more difficult, especially when you're expecting a vertical jungle. You're not going to be able to push up into Concept like you might normally try and do. So this is definitely a situation where I feel like Golden Guardians just kind of punishing some of the rather lazy map movements from Tenacity.
Yeah, Tenacity just expecting that they're holding the line of scrimmage, didn't actually want to defend around the blue buff. Gives an angle for Acadian, not to just lose out on his own red buff in the bot lane and the chickens. He takes red buff away from Will. Sure, 100 Thieves have knowledge that that just took place, but Golden Guardians also have knowledge that it happened to them. So this gives more time to Acadian, who got Krugs, now is going for the Raptors to take away an extra camp from Will.
That's a big gamble that Array and Chime just took, right? They are looking for Will, but they give up level 2. They gift BMFX and Busio a freeze, and suddenly the experience differential can be pretty brutal. And Julian, poke.
No, he'll just reset the chickens, at least thwarting Acadian from getting the 3 camps on the side of Will. So it will make it a little bit better. Will's not falling too far behind, but obviously Acadian getting some of the chickens will make it so that he has a little bit more experience once he gets his full clear in his jungle.
Yeah, the difference there, right, is like Choose can't really threaten to crash a wave going into Jimmy, and whereas Busio and BMFX, they were able to get this freeze, and so suddenly Array and Chime, they're down a lot in a situation where we were hoping that they could be aggressive. BMFX and Busio will be hitting all these level breakpoints first for the next
well, they might still look to play aggressively. They've got a lot of damage on to Busio. The problem is even if you add the explosive charge up, this stand behind me will still not defend you. You'll still take a lot of damage from the explosive charge and making sure that you can get right past the shield.
Yeah, I also like what Busio did in the last wave, right? When he had the explosive charge on him, he walked into his own minions to slow down how quickly the 100 Thieves bottom lane will actually be trying to crash the wave. And Acadian and Will finding each other.
Set up a rumble again. Acadian really dead set on taking away those chickens from Will. But the fact that Will was there, spotting out the movements of this Graves, Gaiden will go back to getting his own wolves. He's already gotten at least some of the farm that he needs to make sure that he's staying even against Will, while turning our attention back to the bot lane. Was a good crash of waves from the side of BMFX and Busio. But that, I think it's almost an issue. I would have liked it better if they had kept the lane as frozen as possible. Because now Array is going to have some free time, get those items that he needs to, probably back after they crash their own minion wave.
I don't know if they have time to crash it, right? Like,
No?
BMFX and Busio, as they come back down, the wave is in a good spot. So I actually really like this from BMFX
You do?
and Busio.
Okay.
They got a good crash, and Array can't not push the wave, right? But he isn't able to push it fast enough in order to get the crash going through, and it allows Busio some time to go into the mid lane.
Well, the bigger problem I have is the fact that Busio opting to go into this mid lane. Flash away from Chu, so he'll be fine. But with that Bat Minion wave stacked, it will deny some gold going over to Choose, but it won't actually net them anything, which gives enough time for Array and Chime to make up for it in the bot lane. So it was a good play at first, kind of has fallen apart, and it's given Array and Chime enough time to back, reset, get a Noon Quiver, and get back in the lane.
So we'll see how effectively Array and Chime actually like punish that, right? Because even though they were able to recover some of the CS, they are now in a spot where they need to find something between now and like level 6 before things become really bad. So remember, Tristana's like level 6 is actually a pretty big power spike for this champion.
Oh,
right?
that is true.
Chime has the same thing at level 6. You could still blow people up, so their window isn't closed, but it is a little narrower than it was before they decided to go try and hunt Will in their own jungle.
That is true. That is something we got to keep an eye on. As right now, Chime shows up mid lane. Chu's got level 6, and so did Jimian. But Chu's got a little bit more mana to his name, so he should be able to at least force back the minions, keep Jimian pinned underneath this turret while he's taking a little bit of a brunt of damage from the side of Jimian. And Will, he notices the Acadian, says, all right, I got to kind of hang out here just in case you try to dive and get the kill onto my mid laner.
Yeah, you're seeing this fight once again over whether or not this wave freezes, and it's honestly so fascinating to watch like how these teams will line up and try and make sure Jimmy wants to prevent Choose from getting a good back timing, but both mid laners have teleport, so it's just a matter of like, are you going to get a couple of extra minions for it?
Huh? Well, I mean, it does seem that Choose does get a couple extra minions for it, but it won't be too bad. In fact, he actually has a slight lead, even if it's minor. For a Caston early into the game when he struggles the most, to be even against a Victor is a good indication of Choose and playing this Caston, waiting for those team fights.
Yeah, and we know like this matchup is already pretty decent for Caston, but that doesn't mean that they're supposed to be winning early on. And so Choose, now that he's level 6, he gets to play the game at all, has the unsealed spellbook to be a little bit more versatile in how he can choose to play the game. And he will be a huge side lane threat later on. So I feel like Golden Guardians have gotten through this early game while we're still waiting for Array and Chime to showcase whether or not early picking this Tristana is going to be valuable. They are still in a spot where they can continue to scale as long as nothing bad happens.
Well, see, this is where it's getting difficult because they are still behind in experience. Busio, having left the lane, gave a lot more experience unshared for BMFX, so he can hit level 6 before the Tristana Nautilus will. And that gives him more burst and more capabilities to fight once he hits level 6 himself.
True. That is something, right? Like, a lot of the experience in this bottom lane has become very odd because of Array and Chime leaving and Busio spending so much time into the mid lane. So BMFX is probably pretty darn close as Chime
There it is.
grabs a minion. But now that he is level 6, it's significantly faster than Chime and Array, and I feel like Busio might even hit level 6 at about the same time.
Chaos Storm brewing. Choose puts down the gravity well to be able to get the stun onto Choose. Choose can still rift walk away. Doesn't take too much damage for his troubles.
That's the thing you gotta do as Jigman, right? You use these ultimates to try and force Caston out of lane. You're trying to deny him levels more than you're necessarily trying to deny him actual, like, gold from the minions. But Caston, walking top, I think he's just looking for some fruits before going back down to mid lane. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, looks like that's the case. Taking the fruits, going back to mid lane. Well, Concept, again, looking for that solo kill against Tenacity for 2 games in a row. He's got so much damage against that Aatrox. Normally a matchup that you would favor towards Aatrox, but Concept on his coveted Mundo pick knows how to play any and every matchup.
The bullying is really coming through. He has the Bramble Vest completed, the 2 Ruby Crystals. He's just kind of ready to rumble. So, again, we were never really super worried about the Golden Guardian's laning phases, right? That's not where this team was really falling behind.
Aw, just barely. Acadian wasn't able to stop that back, but going into what you kind of were talking about before, like, looking at Golden Guardians, they have got themselves, oh, bless you. They've got themselves in a really good position at the moment. They're getting in plates on the top side of the map. They're making sure that mid lane is fairly even, but they got to be careful of this, because this isn't looking pretty right now. Chime might be there, but they know they have to just give up and let Acadian die.
Well, that is just a catch right there onto Acadian, right? It's a simple matter of Busio being here first. He loves to roam up. We see this from both Team Liquid and from 100 Thieves. They will roam out their supports in order to try and help this Rift Herald play come through. And you just catch a lot of teams by surprise when they're trying to get things set up for this Rift Herald. Golden Guardians not able to respond to it at all.
And it's through one of their more powerful lanes, one of their more powerful positions. Will has just been power farming most of this game. He's doing what Graves does best, which is clear out minions very quickly so that they can set up in bot lane another one of their lanes that's doing well. It allows Busio to roam up here to look for this kind of play.
Yeah, and you already see that Array and Chime, they're on their way, but they're just not here in time. This is one of those things that 100 Thieves is preying on, these small windows where you're not ready to go for the play. Golden Guardians, I'm sure, were expecting to be able to get there before the members of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I think they thought that they were still resetting, that Busio was still on his way and would have been timed up perfectly with Array and Chime. But the fact that he's got the tier 2 boots on the side of Busio gives him a little bit extra speed to kind of make sure that he can get there just moments before Array and Chime. Moments before anybody can answer, and for the fact that BMFX has been doing a good job in this bot lane of getting his own leads, making sure that he is comfortable on his own. It's making it so that Busio feels facilitated to move around the map more consistently.
And this is what the Ezreal is good at, right? BMFX, we've been looking at, he hasn't been super excited about his own laning phase. He said he's definitely much more of a team fighting ADC as a player. He thought that he would be able to outperform there, and so far, if you are able to support your laning phase like this, then you are going to be much more impactful later on in the team fights. He's still waiting for his first item wake up.
Top lane, a little bit of skirmishing between Tenacity and Concept. Losing the passive, so he gets his Arcane Blade. Tenacity continuing to look to chase this down. Both of them having their ult, neither popping it. Tenacity didn't want to kind of overcommit just in case Acadian was nearby.
I was trying to figure out if they were actually going to go for that, but
that would have been risky, that's for sure. Like, I imagine 100 Thieves would look for it because they got the Glacial Fissure, but that's the rocket jump away for Array. True Shot Barrage goes wide, so they don't get the stun, they don't get the concussive blows. All they can have is the eye popped in bot lane to look to see if they can topple the structure.
There's a lot of damage already coming through, right? It is very close to going down, and 100 Thieves, if they choose to commit to this, will have to deal with Acadian here in a moment. The Rift Herald doesn't quite get the whole thing.
Well, look at that. They got the depth charge onto the back line. BMFX doesn't have very much mana, so they can start to focus on a Busio, but they got a lot of damage on Array as well, so Chime's got to be careful to flash away with the collateral damage nearly taking down that tank front line of Chime.
Yeah, that was quite well played from both sides, honestly. Acadian coming through, followed by the instant exhaust from BMFX to make sure the damage isn't there, does mean that, one, the turret is very close to falling, but 100 Thieves, they're able to play with calculated aggression this time around. They're taking control, and because 100 Thieves are so much better farmed, the fact that Will is on Gore Drinker to the components from Acadian allows them to actually go for the full play, and 100 Thieves bottom lane are winning, and that's not something we oftentimes look at or have an expectation of them. They typically will come out from the laning phase a little bit behind unless Busio is really popping off.
And I mean, I'm as surprised as you are to see BMFX. This is a new, well, not new look. We've seen him play the Ezreal, but now with Busio on the roster, you can see just how comfortable he is on this champion. No longer the Senna duty, no longer really just having to play, play out the lane phase to make sure that you're surviving and not actually winning out. While he hasn't gotten a kill, he's gotten sizable leads. He's making sure that they can continue to push back Array and Chime. They couldn't even utilize their power of the Tristana Nautilus, which is taking down structures early and playing aggressive right out of the gates.
Yeah, and we are seeing that, despite the fact that Jimmy hasn't found a kill onto Gassengers quite yet, he is building up an experience lead, right? We saw that Choose just ticked over to level 10, and Jimmy, the fact that he is still bullying around this Cassin is a bit surprising, but Choose gotta be careful.
He was spotted out by the red trinket. Will scare off Will and Busio. It is still Cassidy, and you don't know exactly the position of the mid lane, because you can see that Array and Chime are there, but they're looking for the play onto Jimmy, and while Choose is dodging away from everything that is being thrown at him by Will and Busio, he'll be able to survive, holding on both Ignite and Flash.
Okay, little bold there, Busio, right? I think if you instantly land everything and like Will has a flash up, maybe that's a play that you can try and make. But Choose is still able to get out of it. The top turret goes down, and this is when 100 Thieves are looking to make their big advantages happen, Alex. You have the first item coming through from Ezreal, Beam Effects, the team fighting AD carry, not the landing AD carry, looking to really pop off here in the next couple of minutes, looking for this next dragon, looking for another Herald up on the top side so they can blow open this gold lead before Cassin comes online. And guess what? Just as we were talking about before, with a lot of Team Liquid games where the kills are relatively even, 100 Thieves are up 4,000 or 5,000 gold.
But it's so boring. I want him
I
to
know.
fight. I don't want him to. I'm trying to cast a curse it again, that we get more fights happening, more attempted solo kills, because I want action. We got level 10s, level 11s now cresting for each side. First items being completed. We see mythics on the side of Concept, canceling the back there of Tenacity. He's got a Bramble Vest as well. It's a difficult 1v1 for Tenacity, and he's being kept in this lane so that he can't get that back to get that Gore Drinker completed.
And I really like what Concept is like constantly able to do, right? He's constantly moving in and out of the queues from Tenacity. The jiggle, I like to call it, yeah. Not jiggle. Jiggle. I like to see a wiggle.
Wiggle. Jiggle. Okay, I don't know where we're going with this.
But it doesn't matter. The big thing is that Concept, like, this entire matchup is determined by how well Concept is able to dodge out from Tenacity's Qs. And if he can dodge at least 2 of them, he should be winning most of these trades. And so the fact that this is very even says to me that Tenacity is actually doing a pretty okay job at actually landing a lot of these abilities. But Choose, at the same time, you know, only down 20 CS is totally acceptable for this Casino.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Especially because from what levels 1 to 6, you have to worry about getting bullied by Victor. And usually that's where you see Cassins kind of fall behind initially and then struggle to make sure you get back into position to be able to keep the pressure on to Victor. And you can kind of see how that's worked out, even if in the lane state, I think Choose and Jimmy were a lot more even, and it's only been as of late that Choose has kind of fallen behind in the CS. He's still making sure that he's in a position to be able to fight back, that he can look for those plays, while Tenacity looks for his own onto Concept. He forces an ult out of him. That's a lot of damage traded back and forth, looking to see if he can burst him down before he's going to be able to heal up, and look at the movement speed from Concept. He gets on out of there.
Ooh, barely getting out of there. Tenacity just barely not having the correct damage calculations, but we are starting to see, right, this Aatrox now that has the items completed, it's got the Boots of Swiftness, it's trying to catch up and keep pace with Concept. But I feel like we're still waiting for these ticking time bombs. And Choose, as a player, right, he used to be a very strong Oceanic mid laner, right? He was known for playing, I think it was mostly control mages back in the day, but ever since he's gone into a coach, we've had like a lot of different variations on how strong our coaches have been here in the Academy. And Choose, you know, he is slowly improving. He's still not the most exciting thing, but he can just jump on Jimmy on this matchup.
You can look for the fight. The Gravity Well is able to get the sun. There's another Rift Walk with Ignite ticking onto Jimmy. And Boostier's on the other side. Found Acadian, so the attempted dive that was being tried by Golden Guardian is going to be thwarted with the flash coming in from Acadian to make sure he escapes from danger.
Okay, well, this is still, you know, probably your least favorite game of the day, Magical. We are at 18 minutes and there's only been 1 kill.
But here we go. Over the fighting. They pull back in Chime, but Chime's pretty tanky. Will die to BMFX while Busio helps out take the turret as well.
Okay, the game has become twice as good all of a sudden. 1 kill to 2 kills, 100 Thieves finding their leads in the mid game, looking for another dragon for themselves, and the gold lead remains about 4,000 or 5,000, currently in favor of 100 Thieves. The ticking time bomb continues ticking. The coach, I don't know how to do it, but whatever. There's a rap I wanted to go into.
TikTok?
Not TikTok. It's like a much more. It's like I want to say like 80s song. Drumsticks start ticking. Chickeny China, the Chinese chicken. You have a drumstick. Your brain starts ticking.
I know what you're talking about, but I cannot remember the lyrics of the song. I'm really bad about lyrics.
I used
But
to know
you know
all
what?
of them,
I'm looking at Shoes. He's level 12. 12 of 16. He's getting there. The time is
Getting there.
working its way up, and while this game has been very slow, very boring, I am not a fan of how slow games like this are. I know this is more of a colors fever dream, but for me, I'm just waiting to see if Choose can get to level 16, because at the rate things are going, the game might end before he even gets there, because they're falling behind right there. Choose does escape an attempted gank from Busio Will, who have now tag teamed and are now rotating around the map as a duo.
Yeah, but Busio.
Oh, this could be a big pick, getting the kill if they can give it over to Shoes, but Acadian's going to secure it with Jimmy and low on mana. They've got Shoes, Chime, and Acadian. I'm surprised they didn't try to push the issue.
I mean, there's no neutral objective for them to pick up, though. Concept is still playing in the side lane. We saw a lot of this last game.
And he's going to take the turret, but he's got to be more careful. World Ender Pop, not even using his own ult. That's finally going to be it. Concept taking a lot more damage this time. He could not dodge everything. He finally falls. That Chem Punk Chainsword helping out, make sure they get the kill.
Okay, well, they get the turret at the same time, right? The objective bounties mean that even though Concept goes down, that was still, in theory, a worthwhile trade. He obviously wishes he hadn't died for it, but still, 100 Thieves. The gold lead has not really improved in quite a while. It's just Golden Guardian's holding relatively steady. Tristana's not strong. She can't make plays right now. The Choose has not been able to find any plays for a little while longer. And so as long as this game goes later, I'm going to let Golden Guardian's chances more and more, just like I did in the previous game. So 100 Thieves, while they now have control up to 1-3-1, they got to be careful that Tenacity doesn't go down.
Oh no, Acadian went right in to the duo crew of Busio Will, who've been roaming around this entire map. I talked about it before. They've got every position so far, so they can constantly harass these members, get the stun, get the kill onto Chime.
Okay, and Chime just going down there. That's the thing that you can't really afford to have happen, right? 100 Thieves, we just saw their duo lane on the bottom side of the map. Chime trying to clear vision goes down, means that you don't have enough people on the board to actually try and save all these structures. So Jimmy will pick up another turret for themselves. That's 2 kills, and even if he dies, it's still a positive gold trade.
They try to turn it back around the best he can with the Rift Walk damage onto Jimmy, and he's got the Gravity Wheel to be able to get the stun onto Acadian. Same with the Chaos Storm Brewing, but it will be shut down. Gold picked up by Choose.
But a turret goes over, and another turret goes over. 100 Thieves are opening up the map. I'm waiting to see how Golden Guardians will try and make their play, because it has been slowly losing control. They don't have any vision to play around. Chime, he's trying to go in. You see he's got the sweeper. He's got a pretty decent vision score, but, you know, this is where you really wish you had, like, an Umbral Glaive Senna on your team to try and fight back for some of these parts of the map. But Array, he's waiting. He knows that he missed his chance. They committed so much trying to find Will at the very beginning, and he has never recovered.
No, he's still behind in CS. You can see the itemization behind nearly a full item, because the Muramon has been completed with Last Whisper, compared to only Array having Kraken Slayer just finishing that Phantom Dancer.
Okay, we're going to jump into a replay real quick, though, to kind of watch how this play happens. Oh, whoa, I did not even know that that happened. He almost died, but Jimmy just a little bit too far out, right? He tries to focus down Acadian, but doesn't have the damage. And honestly, this flash, I feel, was like a little greedy. I don't think you're ever really making it out, but maybe you're able to trade back onto Acadian. So, you know, with this kind of slow game, it just means that we are going to continue seeing these people trying to find these individual outplays. Tenacity has beaten Concept once. Jimmian has gone down to choose an Acadian, but mostly it's just been Busio and Will trying to find these plays, and a teleport top lane means that Jimmian will probably die again.
Yeah, they're looking for Jimmian. The late game scaling option that 100 Thieves have to their name with the Chaos Storm Bruin. The Rift Walk damage gets him to go golden with a stopwatch, but they should be able to pick up the kill even once he arrives. Look at Will now. Depth Charge connects, but with 3 members, they are strong. 400 Thieves, low health bars on the side of Golden Guardians. They are threatened by this fight. They're trying to get out of dodge the best they can, but these flashes trying to follow up every member, trying to pepper him with the Mystic Shots. They got the stun from the Concussive Blows, getting the flash out of Chime. There's not a turret there to defend yourself. You gotta go a long way to be able to get back home and look at Acadian
Oh,
trying to
Choose
get
is back.
a little of the space. Choose is back. He's got BMX's number, or does he? He's killed by Will. Way too much damage into the face of Choose, and Acadian will fall. Double kill for Will. They are now threatening the base after that attempted playback by Golden Guardians.
It just feels like 100 Thieves are just more in sync during this play, right? You see Choose jump in, but where's the rest of the team trying to make the same play happen? Acadian, Array, they just back out. Now 100 Thieves have total control over the Baron. It's messy, but it's learning, right? 100 Thieves are going to be in a big advantage as they give over the Hex Dragon and Objective Bounty, but you're definitely going to be happy with the Baron.
Exactly. Because we still have the clock ticking for the side of 100 Thieves. They always have to worry about Choose getting to level 16. They got the shutdown, it slows them down a bit, but this was all attempted by the side of Golden Guardians. They were the ones who looked for this kill initially onto Jimian.
Yeah, and this play worked out, right? They find Jimian at the very beginning, and then they're in the constant opportunity of trying to run away. Choose even gets his back off, but Golden Guardians, they underestimate how much chasing power 100 Thieves actually has, and now it's Tenacity getting chased down.
Tenacity should die here, though. Look at how much he heals with the help of the Gore Drinker. It's not enough to actually save his own life while he's sustaining for some time. It's just delaying the inevitable, and that is Shutdown Gold now gifted over to Array as we go mid lane. Acadian is getting chased down by Will with Choose on the other side. He's going to have to walk away, though. He's already helped his jungler get out of danger, but they don't get any more kills.
And now 100 Thieves, this is their opportunity. They are trying to open up the base before Choose hits level 16, before this Caston becomes
14.
truly monstrous. He's 14. We're almost there. But there's nothing outside of the base for 100 Thieves to really try and pick up there. I guess there's one turret down here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, that's about it, though. I mean, the fact that the 7,000 gold lead hasn't... I mean, it's a 7,000 gold lead. Don't get me wrong when talking about this, but it hasn't really grown. We've seen these kind of like plateau steps where the 4,000 gold lead was a bit of a plateau for 100 Thieves. Then they got that play last time, and now they're plateauing here at 7,000 because these plays attempted by Golden Guardians to catch members out.
And it's the exact same play, right? Last time it was Choose teleporting to catch Jimmy, and this time it's Concept teleporting to catch Tenacity. 100 Thieves overextending just a little bit while there's nothing else for the rest of the team to do. And I feel like this is something that we've been seeing a little bit from 100 Thieves. They can get a little bit, like, I want to say almost lazy with some of these plays that they go for, right? This is something we used to look at with Maryville's Niles or Golden Guardians Niles. He would just be too far forward while the rest of his team wasn't prepared to actually hit an objective on the other side of the map. Now Tenacity does it, and when a game is this long and this low in terms of the number of kills, you kind of forget like how well you're able to fight a lot of the other members because you haven't interacted with them in 20 minutes.
But I like this force from the side of 100 Thieves, taking down
There we
one
go.
inhibitor turret with the help of the Baron buff so they can get the inhibitor mid lane. They've even got Tenacity with a great minion wave crashing towards the second inhibitor turret of the game that they could possibly take with Tenacity getting stunned up by the concussive blows, but he's pretty tanky. So he should be able to survive even with the Shrew Shot Barrage, but he's pulled back in by the Infernal Chains. Keep in mind, Choose is not here. He is rage split pushing in the bot lane. He gets the tower, but that's at the cost of 2 inhibitors of the game. So finally, now he gets the recall off, but one next turret nearly falls for it all with everyone of 100 Thieves still here inside of Golden Guardian's base trying to topple this. They got at least the depth charge onto Will so they could potentially chase him down, but they just don't have the damage at the moment.
And there's only level 15 coming out from Choose. He's not quite able to get the next level. He's taking so much damage from Jimmy every time he tries to Rift Walk in. Golden Guardians, they don't have tools to get another fight started, and the Baron, it takes them a little while, but 100 Thieves are able to pick it up.
Oh, and looks like Tenacity might be in danger, but he gets out this time. Not too much of a threat. He even holds on to the Gore Drinker, only has to burn his ult.
So 100 Thieves, right, they just walk in and with no kills going over at all. 100 Thieves take the mid lane turret, the top lane turret, and both inhibitors at the same time. The map is wide open. 100 Thieves, like, you know, they're not threatening to pick up Hextech Soul here on this next fight, but it means that there's only one place that Golden Guardians can go. They need to eventually take a fight. Otherwise, these super minions will kind of end the game all on their own. But we have good news. Good news for Golden Guardians.
What's the good news?
Choose a 16.
Alright, well, Choose being level 16 could help him out, but hopefully this time he'll be a part of the fights, because not having Choose in the base while they were taking the inhibitor turrets was nearly what ended the game outright there. 100 Thieves capitalized that immaculately, knowing that there was not that ability to fight back. They didn't have their main carry in Cassidy there to defend. So now they just take those inhibitors, they rotate into the bot lane, and they are threatening another inhibitor turret.
Okay, Choose around the side, looking to threaten Will and Busio, but there's not any wave clear. The waves are just going to be crashing all at the same time, and they're waiting for all these minions to die so that they can get the waves crashing in the top and mid lane at the same time. Here comes Acadian.
Kaden goes in with the Cyclone, but he's got to be careful. What damage from Jimmy, and just deletes him. He is useless in the fight, and Jimmy going golden at the perfect time. Make sure they can get Will unstoppable. Nobody's been able to touch Will on Graves, his coveted champion, while Concept on his own main carry. He is just barely surviving against Will, while the rest of 100 Thieves chase down the bot lane of Golden Guardians Academy. Now that is the final inhibitor turret of the game. This is it. Golden Guardians, they had the chance to scale up into the game, but not having the proactivity early on has now come to bite them in the butt, with Concept getting whittled at the base and aced inside of his own fountain for 100 Thieves. They get a 2-0 sweep over Golden Guardians Academy, despite having the level 16 mark for Choose. It was all Will, 6-0 here with Jimmy and helping out as well.
There we go, 100 Thieves. It was a much quieter game from them in the second match going up against Golden Guardians, but nonetheless, the victory is the same. They still take the extra Nexus for themselves and improve their record to tie up with Team Liquid, remaining tied for first place. But both these rosters, I feel like, for 100 Thieves and Golden Guardians, we get to see like some opportunities for them to try and build themselves up. 100 Thieves continue to showcase that they can play multiple styles. They can play the wild, crazy, fast games where they are consistently learning, but they can also show that they can play a much more controlled version where they just take objectives without any contest.
And it gets some victory. So 2-0 victory for the side of 100 Thieves. One where it was barely them stopping the Nexus from falling. The second one, slow and calculated. We're going to toss a break. When we come back, we'll have our host, Mazel, here for another interview. Make sure you stay tuned.
How could I be so stupid when I got all the signs? I guess that is love. Now the red flags are lucid, and I know that I'll be fine. I guess that is self-love. You think I'm going crazy, but I'm not missing you. I only miss the illusion you pretended to be. I'm not acting crazy, I just said we're through. Baby, you gave a lot. What about trust? What about all this time you looked in my eyes, babe? What about commitment? What about all the empty promises?
Welcome back, everyone, to the Verizon post-game interview. I'm Mazel, and I'm joined by 100 Thieves Academy mid laner Jimian after a crazy series of events. First thing first, pentakill on Akali in game number 1. Tell me a little bit about that pentakill.
Just so surprised.
I like it. I like
Go
it.
ahead.
That's how I typically am with my pentakills too. 100 Thieves Academy are top of the table in Academy Summer. How has summer been different from spring for you, Jimian?
Yeah, we changed a lot of roles. Yeah, I like my new teammates. And I see pretty good. Big champion pool. They played pretty well.
It's going pretty well. It's going pretty well. Did you do anything fun in the off season?
I went back to Taiwan. I already missing Taiwan right now.
Did you do any? Is there anything that it was a fun memory for you in Taiwan? Did you get to have a favorite food or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I have pretty nice food.
What's your
Yeah,
favorite?
I like it. The comfort food. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the team here. You know, it's working with Will instead of Kenvi. How has that been for you as a mid laner?
I mean, they both play aggressive too. So not a big difference, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, maybe some minute differences there in experience. I like it. What do you feel like, Jimian, that you have improved on the most in summer?
I, how to play League of Legends?
Yeah. It's a good thing to improve on. It's a good thing to improve on. I just want to give you a last little bit. Do you have anybody you want to shout out before we let you go?
I wanna shout out 100 Thieves and my teammates. Yeah, they
Well-
help me a lot. Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Jamie, and I'm glad I got to get another interview with you, and it's been awesome to see your progress. Hey, hoping for some more pentakills. Let's keep that rat going, all right?
Okay.
Have a wonderful evening. I'm going to go ahead and bring back Magical and Joshi. Glad we got to talk to Mr. Jimmy in a little bit.
Yeah,
there.
adorable.
I
I'm
like how he
just-
says
Go ahead.
he's improved at League of Legends. Right,
Hey,
like-
as a whole,
I wish I could say the same.
seriously though, like the wisdom is what I appreciate because it's so simple, but it's also so intense,
It's
right?
true.
At the same time, like
I've-
you're seeing the development, the gradual improvement.
Yeah.
Split
No,
to
I
split
feel
with Jimmy.
I feel like I need to be more specific. I feel like I wish that I had improved at League of Legends. Because it's very obvious to me watching Jimmy like grow from when he first came here to what he is doing now, right? If he was the mid laner he was when he came in spring, 100 Thieves lose this game. Or at least lose the one where he gets a pentakill and a quadrikill. If he was the same player then, that would not have been something where 100 Thieves could have come back from. But we've been
Yeah.
able to see the growth from him. He's being able to make so many different plays, and I'm excited to see what is next for this guy. Like, his
Yeah.
English is continuing to improve. He's clearly becoming more comfortable with the rest of his teammates, and it's only a matter of time, I think, before he proves to everybody else that he deserves to go to the next level.
And see, that's what I was about to say. That's what's next for him.
Exactly.
He's been proving himself here in Academy, and if he can continue to look better and better day by day, game by game, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being, like how we talked about with Team Liquid Academy, that he would also be in that conversation of people we have to look at for 2023.
Also, just a little shout out we were hearing beforehand the interview, when everything was getting set up. That was his second pentakill. And his first was also on Akali, so that's kind of cool. We'll have to keep that
Nice.
as a little side piece, definitely for Jivian. But it's been a long, long day for Academy. It's been a full set of games across the board. It has been an absolute fun one. We actually get to check in on some of the other scores that we had as well. So as you see down there, CLG Academy coming up 2-0 against FlyQuest. That was actually pretty huge. And Cloud9 Academy 2-0 against Dignitas Academy. That was huge. Anything stand out to you guys?
The FlyQuest CLG one. That's got to
No
be the
way.
big one. I mean, you look at that, FlyQuest have been this team that we've had in our conversations of being one of our top teams. And because they're one of the few teams that remain consistent. Only now did they switch out Phil for Kumo. But they're still a great team that we've seen a lot of promise from. But CLG, they have most of their team completed as well. They've got Meech finally in the lineup, and to see them come out in such a fury to take the 2 games off of a team that has been at the top of the standings, that people have questioned whether or not they are deserving of being that high up or not, it shows right there that CLG have got to be one of the teams that we talk about for the rest of the split alongside Cloud9.
Yeah, well, it's definitely going to be something that we have to pay a lot of attention to. But Cloud9, right, we were kind of expecting them. They coming back with a vengeance now that King and Destiny are back. They took a game off of Team Liquid, 2-0 Dignitas. And I feel like we have a couple of teams that are very rapidly approaching like the conversation of how many of their players deserve to be in LCS rather than are they just going to be top of the table.
Exactly that. But we got a whole nother chock full day of games tomorrow, as we're right back here in the same time, same place. 5 full best of 2s across 2 streams, as we have on Stream A. We'll be kicking off with Golden Guardians Academy versus TSM Academy. The second series will be Team Liquid Honda Academy versus FlyQuest Academy, followed by the final game of week number 3 on Stream A. It'll be Immortals Academy versus Dignitas Academy. That'll be on twitch.tv/academy, on twitch.tv/PatLCS. It'll be Cloud9 Academy versus 100 Thieves Academy. That one's going to be a banger. And CLG Academy versus EGA. And that one also going to be pretty fun. I don't know if you guys have any matches of the days maybe that you guys are holding on to.
I mean, it's C900 Thieves and Team Liquid versus FlyQuest. Like, we got some really strong top-of-the-table teams going right up against each other. And this was kind of what we were asking, right? FlyQuest, I argued, had a much easier strength of schedule in the first part of the round-robin. Now, as we get toward the second half of the round-robin, they're playing against the 100 Thieves. They're playing against the Cloud9s. They're playing against the CLGs and the Team Liquids. And this is where we can see, how much of their schedule determined how well they were going to be doing.
Yeah, exactly that. But it's gonna be another fun one for sure. It's been a long one, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and actually kind of short looking at the time. I didn't even know what time it was. It just kind of felt long because of the games. They always start out really, really sporadic, and then it gets chaotic as the game goes on. And I can appreciate that as Academy does. But thank you, Joshi. Thank you, Magical, for joining me on the day. It's been a pleasure. I loved playing Duos Lingo with you. I always want to say Duo Lingos, but I just do that. It was an absolute pleasure. Esports Engine for making everything run behind the scenes. Appreciate you all so much for making us look so good. And audience for joining in and tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure here. We wouldn't be here without the players and the staff behind the scenes making it all go for the teams. So thank you all, and we'll see you right back here, same time, same place, tomorrow on Summoner's Rift.
Bye, Twitch chat.